In just 1 year, Ryan Garcia went from this to this. From quitting on his knees against Tank Davis to cracking Devin Haney's jaw. Like everyone else in the building, Devin couldn't believe his eyes. After Garcia's erratic outbursts on social media, he was largely written off as a nutcase. And while I still think that's partially true, his left hook was as sharp as ever. Whether you love him or hate him, Garcia is one of the biggest shows in boxing. With a single punch, he changed the entire narrative surrounding him and proved all of us wrong. After losing to Gervonta Davis, we didn't know how Garcia would react. A fighter's first loss is a soul-crushing litmus test. You begin to doubt yourself and ask if this is really for you. It's a trial that all the greats had to conquer. But he bounced back with a knockout win over Oscar Duarte, and everything was looking up. Sure, he looked a little passive at times, but he was still melding with new coach Derek James. And at the very least, his hand speed was still lightning fast. Then came the fight announcement. Garcia was to challenge Devin Haney for his junior welterweight title. Once rivals in the amateurs, this would be their 7th fight, previously splitting 3 apiece. Garcia had just beaten an unknown fighter in Duarte, and Haney had just outclassed a champion in Regis Prograis. Haney was a 2-division previously undisputed champion, and Garcia had yet to sniff a single belt. The general consensus was a boring 12-round decision for Devin Haney. Until Ryan Garcia started doing what Ryan Garcia does best. Posting on social media. Wild tweets, unhinged posts, and psychotic behavior for hours at a time. People were beginning to wonder if he was even training at all. Meanwhile, Haney was doing his job, sharpening his skills and living in the gym. There was a stark difference in the way they carried themselves. One respected the sport, and the other was doing anything for attention. The odds grew even wider in Haney's favor. It was shaping up to be another dull, drawn-out victory. Don't get me wrong, he's a master of his craft, but Devin has negative charisma. The poor guy can't sell pay-per-views, so call Ryan crazy or call it promotion, he definitely sold the fight. Millions of eyes were now on Garcia, pleading to not let this mentally ill man enter the ring. And whether or not it was a ruse to sell more tickets, something was definitely off with him.
NGQ, doing what I do, all white, looking nice, okay, come through, and
I don't know if Ryan Garcia is taking the fight serious or not.
This became all more apparent during weigh-ins when Ryan missed weight by an almost insulting 3 pounds. Haney, always a professional, was 140 pounds on the dot. And after some beer chugging and more screaming, the fight was set. Haney was an 8-1 favorite, but at this point all anyone could talk about was Ryan Garcia. People were predicting he would no-show or quit on his stool, but the first bell rang and he stepped to the middle of the ring. Garcia was aggressive from the jump. This was the moment of truth. Had he been training? Was he physically and mentally ready? Could his left hook land on a defensive wizard like Devin? Suddenly, the tone shifted. Haney's head snapped back and Garcia took the lead. It had been 3 years since Haney was last caught flush. Even Lomachenko couldn't buzz him like this. Devin Haney is a defensive technician, but it was Garcia's left hook, the one everyone knows about, that cracked him. In fact, Haney is one of the best at not getting hit. According to CompuBox, he was among the top 10 fighters that boxers just can't land on. What's especially crazy is this stat. When opponents throw power punches at Devin Haney, more often than not, they miss. This just goes to show how fast Garcia's left is. Like a bullwhip, Ryan cranked his money punch, and Haney was never the same. In the 7th, another left hook sent Haney to the canvas for the first time in his career. Haney barely got up, and it arguably could have been called off here. But credit to his heart, he got back up and continued to fight. The word fight, however, might be a stretch. Haney's legs were gone and he started wrestling, hugging, and clinching to survive. The ref did absolutely nothing to stop the hugfest, which ironically prolonged the fight and led to even more damage taken. Garcia dropped him again in the 10th and once more in the 11th, each more vicious than the last. The speed was just too much to handle for Haney, and while Garcia is no defensive mastermind himself, Haney just doesn't have the kind of power to earn his respect. He couldn't hurt Ryan back, so like the Haney of old, he clinched his way to the final bell. Garcia pulled off the massive upset and after 3 knockdowns proved to the world he was still a deadly contender. But let's not get carried away. While this was an entertaining fight, Garcia's performance was less than stellar. That lethal left hook covers a lot of holes. For one, his just turnaround defense is atrocious. Once Haney realized he could just target the body, it became less of a novelty and more of a vulnerability. Future refs and opponents are likely to handle it better. You could also tell that Garcia was fighting off pure emotion. When Haney did land, Ryan went nuts, which, fair play, probably freaked Devin out. He punched Haney on the break and was playing to the crowd, which is fine when you're winning the fight, but in the future, if he fights emotionally and starts to lose, it could become destructive. But the biggest takeaway was Garcia's reluctance to jab. He somehow averaged less than a single jab landed per round, content to only throw 4 or 5. But every time he did jab, it set up his monster left hook. Poor Derek James was begging Ryan to work off the jab.
Go get him! All right! Off the jab! Do not, off the jab! Don't let him on board!
It led to his success, but he abandoned it anyway. Then again, who needs to jab when you have a power punch like this? In a probable upset of the year, Ryan Garcia defeated Devin Haney in emphatic fashion. But does coming in 3 pounds overweight leave a stain on his win? Since Garcia was ineligible to win the belt, Haney remains as the so-called champion. This could have been a marquee win for Garcia's legacy if he captured the title, but that might only matter to hardcore boxing fans. Casuals scrolling Instagram or TikTok only see one thing: Garcia snapping Haney's neck back and sending him to the floor. In the 4-belt era, who you fight may be more important than what belts you own. As the great Jim Lampley put it,
what's more important, being a champion with a title from a governing body in boxing, or being the king of the world? Right now, he's the king of the world.
As for the extra 3 pounds, it's impossible to know the effect it had on fight night. But we do know from his last bout that Haney typically rehydrates 25 pounds up to 165. Haney has made a career beating up guys 10 to 15 pounds lighter than him. It's only now that he ran into someone just as big. When Garcia fought Tank, he had to agree to a rehydration clause, limiting the amount of weight he could put back on. He was absolutely drained and weakened in that fight, whereas against Haney, he was at full strength. This leaves Ryan in a weird position. He beat the champ, but he doesn't have a belt. He's too big for junior welterweight, but he's never fought at welterweight. Compared to his contemporaries, he's technically the least accomplished. But he fought 2 of them, which is more than anyone else can say. He may not be a champion, but he's earning the most money and putting on the biggest fights. Right now, Ryan holds all the cards. He can fight whoever he wants because he's the pay-per-view draw. I just know somewhere Gervonta Davis is smiling. His win over Garcia looks even better now. Tank, who is generally perceived as just a puncher, didn't even get touched by Ryan, whereas Haney, who is seen as the more slick defensive boxer, got absolutely ravaged. In the post-fight press conference, Garcia admitted to drinking and partying during training camp, which leads me to believe he's still not completely mentally healthy. Him winning is only gonna exacerbate his issues, enabling him to believe his behavior is okay. Ryan Garcia needs real help, but as long as the left hook is landing, nothing will change. There is, however, another champion in the division. One who stood toe-to-toe with Gervonta Davis and didn't crumble. A ferocious, aggressive puncher who can take Garcia's left hook and give it back to him. Check out this video to see why they call him the mini Mike Tyson.